but that is a legal and policy decision by the board whether we would actually go, and we don't evict people. That's not necessarily our process. May be allowed under statute. We're looking into that. But again, we have never, if somebody is living in something, we have never, to my knowledge in the 12 years I've been here, actually removed them and the structure or the vehicle from a piece of property. You can direct us to request higher fines, shorter compliance periods, things like that. And one of your main decision points here today is abatement of occupied dwellings. Dwellings being vehicles, structures, unlawfully being used as residences. We have never removed a structure that somebody was living in, whether that be a mobile structure, a permanent structure, any type of structure that somebody was residing in, whether legally or illegally. That may require code changes to increase the abatement allowance. Again, never done before, at least in the 12 years I've been here. And you folks could instruct us. We do have some significantly high fines and liens on properties. It is possible that we could start foreclosing on those properties. Again, not been done in more than 2 decades. To the best of my staff's knowledge, we have never done that, either item.
It's important for us to realize, embrace, and accept that code enforcement is important for all of us and all of us to get involved, because that's the basic way we have to try and maintain the quality of life in the community, its attractiveness, respect for other people's property, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think we have to be aggressive at this point. But I think we've got to be a little stricter in enforcing the regulations and following through. Maybe we've got to get a little tougher on them. So I think it's important that we get reported. I think my personal feeling is we got a lot more complaints, and we were tuned in on a lot of things when it was anonymous, because people don't like to give their names. But I think we've got to get tougher on it. I'd like to see us go back to the anonymous complaint. But I think we've got to get a little bit more aggressive, and we have to get tougher.
We've determined reasonable to be 15 to 30 days, but legally it could be 5 days on let's say, junk or zoning violations, and permit violations could be 15 days.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And you can also instruct us to no longer do our courtesy. We could see that there's a violation and immediately issue that formal notice of violation, where the next step would be the formal notice of hearing. Oh, correct.
And we cut down the time, we send them, when we do the re-inspection, you said you give them another 15 days. That could be, we don't have to give them anything.
The biggest discussion and direction point for you folks, and this is one of the hardest things you'd probably ever have to decide is
liens.
No, not liens, but do we actually remove people?
Yeah, that's what I meant.
property?
Yeah, the liens, enforce the liens and go in.
Well, no, or enforce the abatement of removing the physical structures or vehicles or whatever that people are residing in.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, basically, I'm all in support of tightening up the time frames, really across the board. And serious ones, people that are purposely going in on a residential single-family lot anywhere in the county that's supposed to have a permanent structure and putting an RV on there, thinking that's okay, is just flat wrong. You know, the hammer needs to come down quickly. Whatever the process is to get that piece of equipment off that property the quickest is what I would support. Whatever is legal, what the process is, but that needs to happen fast. It's just wrong. It's just, and the penalties need to be strong in a building. I want to foreclose. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to let it get that way. So that's where I sit, sir.
That even though it was legally, potentially, it may not have been, but I'm going to say that even if it's legally compliant to be on there, we had a violation that needs absolutely no warning. It needs to be an immediate response, and it needs to be a hardcore penalty, and it needs to be according to statute, but this $50 for some of these violations is a gift. Okay? And I'm not in favor of giving them any warning. The site visit, seeing that it's non-compliant, and in some cases has been non-compliant for some period of time, immediate. Immediate citation, start the process according to statute, and follow through with it. And we've got to increase these fines. We've got to. And so I'm ready to go nuclear on this one.
If I may, I saw Commissioner Deutsch and Commissioner Doherty nodding your head on that one for immediate citation.
Yes.
Yes.
And I feel like I got at least 3 direction to be able to move forward with abating and actually removing the people living on properties without the properly permitted structures.
Correct.
Brian.
One,
Yeah, you got a lot
two.
of head nods on that one.
Can I get some vocalization just so I
Yes.
can make sure?
Yeah, thank you. So, yeah. 3, yeah, I'm in it.
This, I wanted to leave
So
that.
this could be done administratively, but if there's an ordinance change, that would have to be done as well.
Correct.
They have enough land that they've got accessory structures, or they have a few other people putting trailers on their property, those can be removed. Those can be abated.
With the policy decision that you folks are proposing here for us to move forward with abating structures that may have people residing in them, structures, vehicles that catch all of people residing in a non-permitted single-family or multifamily structure, yes.
So what would that process be like if we go to enforce it and we show up and there's a family living in an RV? How does our staff do that, or is it the police? Like, how is all that done?
So with this direction, we will move forward with discussing with sheriff, probably through the administrator's office and possibly through you folks, through the elected official to elected official route. Yeah, we will need to have police presence or CCSO presence if we go to abate. This is uncharted territory. This is, I'll say, a seismic shift in policy.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Claire Jove, Assistant County Administrator. But when we do go in to actually remove that structure, we will have law enforcement with us. If a family is involved, we'll have human services with us, things like that, to make sure that we're trying to wrap around the family or whoever's in those places.
And in terms of the foreclosure process, that's already afforded to us. We just haven't chosen to do it. So there's really nothing to be changed there.
Other than giving us the direction
Yeah.
to do it. Right.
Okay, so would that have to be just a blanket approval on every case? Or do you?
I would just give us the authority to do it. If I may, I think the reason we haven't foreclosed in the past, and we haven't done it for sure since the 20 years that I've been here, we've talked about it, at least staff has, and I believe we've talked to the board. We never did it because we didn't want to be holding those properties. Well, now we can surplus them. You can use them, donate them to Habitat for affordable housing. So you have other options, but that ultimately you could end up being the owner of those properties.
We start abating, where are we going to put these things?
If this is a properly tagged vehicle, the trailer, things like that, we would need to work with our folks that do towing, the impounds, in order for it to make sure that it goes to a secure location. If we abate, many times people don't want us to take their things, and we have to have the sheriff with us. Again, the rub here is that it will be somebody's residence. I know I keep saying that, but this is, again, a seismic shift, and I just want to make sure that is clear.
And then what happens?
Taking whole vehicles.
So we'll go in and tow them,
Yes, sir.
and then we'll bill the property owner for that.
Yes, sir. That is a hard cost that cannot be released.
All right. How often do we do that in the course of a year, about?
We had, in the past 2 years, we have had just under about 40 abatements, so once or twice a month. That includes every so often we have to take down a building.
So we do maybe 2 or 3 a month usually on an average?
Give or take, yes. There was one actually down in Tropical Gulf Acres where, tragic situation at the end, but we abated that property. We took a number of cars, trailers, boats, jet skis.
Recapping this item, that abatement and foreclosure, 2 separate items. Abatement, we've given direction to increase the efforts on that, plus shorten up the time frames, right? Do you need anything else on foreclosure, Jeanette? I mean, do you need a motion to move ahead with foreclosure?
It couldn't hurt, and Tom reminded me that should we foreclose on property, we're going to be bringing it to you for authorization to sue. So you will know what we're doing.
Yep.
Oh, I'll make that motion.
for each one.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I've got a motion in 2 seconds. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, is there any opposition? Hearing no opposition, that passes unanimously.